Are you trying to find a home, or are you trying to find the best place to live? My family's journey to North Texas has made us realize that searching for homes can really be futile because there are so many great options. It's actually fairly easy to find an amazing home on sites like Zillow or whatever other web home search site that you're looking for. But in this video, I'm going to scratch the surface for you, discovering and essentially differentiating between neighborhoods, or otherwise called subdivisions. Howdy, I am Billy Cowell, a North Texas realtor and part of the Keller Williams Realty Group. Basically, I'm working in the areas surrounding McKinney, Plano, Frisco, and Allen, and my wife and I really have a heart to serve people in this area. Much of the info that we have directed towards families, especially transplants, but I would have to agree that locals and investors will find the information that we share to be super valuable and can help them out as well. You are in the right place if you want information about schools, about employment, about local events, community, church, and how you're going to get connected. But the first thing I want you to do to get connected is become part of our crew, part of our tribe, part of the people who are, essentially moving here, people who are looking to invest here, people who live here and want to learn more about the community that they're a part of. So I want you to subscribe to a YouTube channel. I want you to drop a comment in there and say, where do you live? Where are you coming in from? Where are you viewing this video? So I have been to Dallas on multiple occasions, generally for conferences. Now, the lay of the land here is super different if you come for a conference than if you're actually coming to live here. So when we came here to live here, it was a very different trip. As a matter of fact, we took two journeys here before, just looking for homes. Before we came here, one of them was looking for apartments because we're from New York City, and the other was actually looking for homes. And one thing that we learned, that it's not very likely that a transplant would end up in Dallas proper, in the city of Dallas, which extends to just about 20 miles south of where we're at right now in McKinney. But more or less, most transplants would rather end up in the northern suburbs. And don't get me wrong, there are some amazing neighborhoods in the Dallas zip code, like the University Park. Highland Park is amazing, M Street's, Lakewood, White Rock, just to name a few, but they're not high on the list when you drop a Google search such as the best place to raise a family, whereas places like Frisco often comes up top of that list. McKinney has come up top of that list. Allen comes up top of the list. Many of the North Dallas suburbs come up high in those lists, and that's what we're going to expound upon here. So my first question, what is a subdivision, and how do you pick one? Like I said, I've traveled here visiting a friend when at some point in the past I went to a conference. I went to visit a friend. She lives in Grapevine. All right, it was a 20-minute drive from the airport, and along that trip we passed probably hundreds of gated communities surrounded by 6 to 8 foot tall brick wood fences everywhere. It was something very new to me. These brick fences separate subdivisions from the outside world to keep essentially the homogeneous nature of each individual community kind of contained within. So you'll find that within each subdivision is a tight range of values. For instance, in the subdivision that we live in, every house is about the same price, give or take just a couple small things. It's just the way that it's put together here in this area of the country. So, and essentially they all have very similar architecture styles. Generally, they're all built by the same builder. So we have private HOAs, or homeowners associations, and in many cases, similar demographic. Let's talk about HOAs. Now, we've traveled here on 2 separate occasions, like I said, to discover homes, cities, neighborhoods, and basically the lay of the land before we moved. And even after all, it seemed impossible to really discover where to live. So we moved here, we stayed in an Airbnb for the first 2 months, and during those 2 months, we tossed around the ideas of buying a home or renting. We decided to actually rent, and we rented a house for 15 months, hoping that would give us enough time to discover the lay of the land, where essentially we wanted to live, and having 3 kids, 6, 4, and 2, and 1 on the way. Wherever we buy a house, if we want to have our kids in the same school district for the entire time that they're in school, we're essentially laying roots for 17 years. So what does it have to do with HOAs? Well, the small children need a pool. They need playgrounds. This stuff is essential. Some HOAs have pools, some don't. Some have playgrounds, some don't. The HOA the management of the HOA, or the money that you pay into the HOA, essentially pays for management of the common areas. And if you've never been here before and you drive around, you will notice that every subdivision has beautiful flowers, wonderful landscaping that's in the common areas, and they take care of that. But some of the HOAs go a step beyond. They had a pool, they had a playground. As a matter of fact, if you go to the reserve of Westridge, you're gonna find like 2-3-story water slides and a huge kid area. I mean, this is really amazing stuff in different areas, and that's what we're trying to discover, and we're trying to help you discover, and we're sharing this information. I will do a future video and a blog post digging a bit deeper into HOAs and how they're gonna shape your decision when you essentially find a neighborhood that works for you. But we're trying to outline all of the HOAs and all of the subdivisions in as far away from where I'm standing right now as possible, so that you can come to our website and say, I want to move to the Reserve, I want to move to Craig Ranch, I want to move to Stonebridge, and you're going to find a wealth of information plus links, because there's no way that I could do it all. And there's other real estate agents, there's other home builders, there's other city of McKinney that give out a lot of this information. So basically, I mean, I've done those searches. I'm going to link to those, or I'll add the information myself. So I am putting that into each individual video that I put together based on the subdivision. So the other day I went out and checked out again the Reserve of Westridge. I really like it. It's literally, I almost live in it. It's just across the street from where I live here. So you can check out that video when I get finished with that one. So I'm just scratching the surface of these. That was HOAs, and like I said, I'll expound upon that a little bit further. The second point that I want you to consider when you're thinking about a neighborhood is essentially the appreciation or potential investment opportunities of the neighborhood. How amazing would it be if you buy a house as your first house, or your first time home builder situation as a family, and that house ends up appreciating in value, becoming a tremendous investment for you. That very well may not be your objective, but that kind of thing is very common in this area of the country. Imagine buying a $400,000 home, paying just the regular payments on it for 3 years, which essentially be like $50,000 you'd pay off. And then at the end of those 3 years, somehow you have $100,000 in equity. I mean, that could change the landscape of many families' financial footprint. So these are the kind of things that I want to just bring light to, allow you to think about when you're discovering where to move, what neighborhood to be at. For instance, the neighborhood we rented our house in. This is a neighborhood full of what they call starter homes. It's a 3-bedroom house. On paper, it looks good, but when you come here, you realize that most of the surrounding neighborhood is just people either renting. Literally, there are a lot of, oftentimes, like literally next every single direction of our house, except for this way, it's a single person living in a 3-bedroom house. Just how they do it here. So, like I said, this is something I have a heart for, is helping, families, transplants, first-time home buyers, not only buy the home of their dreams, the home of their dreams potentially, but to allow them to make it as an investment. So I'll dig deeper into that in many different articles. Next, the third point I want to go into is demographics. Now, I can only go so deep into what I know about each individual neighborhood, but you can find, for instance, on the census gathers information about a variety of topics such as how many people in an area are foreign born, how many people in an area have particular education attainment, how many people in an area own their homes as opposed to rent. This stuff is important to certain people, especially when you're buying a house. So I can point you in the direction to find that information, and you can use that in part of your search. Like things such as all the surrounding homes and what years they were built. Most of these subdivisions, the houses, for instance, in my subdivision, were all built 14 years ago, or 12 years ago, or something like that. And they're all that same age. So they all have a certain character to them. You might want to be in a subdivision where all the houses are new. You might want to know what the range is in a particular subdivision. All right, and that's the kind of information that's my third point, and essentially is the demographics. And demographics go quite a bit deeper, which I'll expand upon on each individual subdivision as I go over them. Woo! All right, so I just quickly went over a couple topics they need to consider when you're thinking about neighborhoods. And in many ways, these suburbs of North Dallas, North Texas, are bigger than New York. I mean, it's vast in comparison. I mean, there are so many different opportunities, so many different options, so many neighborhoods, subdivisions, communities, towns, so many good options. And within them, there's so many different things that you can do with your family, so many different things that you can do with your spouse, so many different things that you can do as a single person. So, I'm going to reach out to you and continue to share this information with you. I just want you to know that we are positioning ourselves, the people that I work with, my family, position ourselves to help transplants find a place to call home, guide investors to the best communities for their purpose, and guide the right people to your home if you decide to move, so that the right people can find your place. So people have been doing this. Since we moved here, we've had people follow us. We've had 2 or 3 people move from New York City and use the information that we've put out, although limited, to help them make a decision. So that's what we want to be. We want more of those types of stories. Whether I help you find a home, whether I help someone else put you in their home, whatever it happens to be, that could be the case. But if there's just a small nugget of information that you get from one of my videos, that would be huge for us. So we want to make it easy for you. Feel free to download the guide that we have. Definitely subscribe, and I hope to see you soon.